Raise your hand if you've heard some variation on the phrase, everything easy has been found. Looks like most of us. This picture above me is 20 to 50 meters of sulfide mineralization in the same suite of intrusions that host the Voisey's Bay mine. It's exposed for 1 kilometer at surface and continues for another 4 kilometers under thin glacial cover. Just 150 kilometers from here, our second project. On our first visit, we found pieces of native copper that weigh over 300 pounds sticking out of the outcrop. Both of these projects were staked from open ground within 30 kilometers of existing road infrastructure. I'm Tyrell Sutherland, the founder and CEO of Viridian Metals, and we're resurrecting greenfields exploration. Now, I'm not suggesting it's easy, but it's absolutely critical because everyone is familiar with graphs like these. Declining major discovery rates over the last 30 years. And this holds true for most commodities, not just copper. What's often lost in the discussion, though, is this, that these discoveries are decreasing in lockstep with the decrease in exploration budgets dedicated to greenfields. This represents the shift by the industry into exploring in the shadow of the head frame, where you find smaller, deeper, and altogether more challenging deposits. We've become specialists at finding hard deposits. That expertise that's been honed in these difficult environments, though, has provided us with the best understanding and tools that we've ever had in geoscience. They just need to be redeployed to greenfields environments where we haven't looked in decades, if ever. What does that look like? Above me is the Seal Basin in Labrador. Viridian has a claim position here that covers over 2,600 square kilometers. That's the size of the entire country of Luxembourg. 75 years ago, there was a brief push of greenfields exploration. They identified hundreds of individual copper showings. The other 90% of the basin that they didn't look at, they lumped into one geologic unit described as mixed oxidized sediments, black reducing shale horizons, and carbonates. Those of you familiar with the sedimentary copper model will recognize that these are hallmarks of some of the largest, most productive basins globally. The modern model also gives us this, is that if you want to find big copper deposits in these basins, you need to be looking at the lowest reducing horizons in the stratigraphy. Where they looked all those years ago was only in the uppermost stratigraphy in this basin. So Viridian increased the search space to the parts of the basin where they hadn't previously looked. And the first thing we found were these large structures, some of them extending for over 100 kilometers, capable of driving big systems that can produce big deposits. Next, it was getting boots on the ground. In just 5 weeks to cover an area the size of a small country, Viridian identified 3 reductant horizons deeper in the stratigraphy than had ever previously been identified. 2 of these extend for over 20 kilometers. These aren't small, but if you don't get out onto the ground, you won't find them. This is what Viridian's looking for. Now, there isn't a company here that isn't built on the skills of its team. And the skills that we've honed are working in these data-limited environments to recognize the value in these areas that haven't been looked at. Then leveraging partnerships, like with the iCRAG Institute or BHP's Xplor program, to start building models like the one you see above me, where we can start tracing those reductant units to those big structures that have the capability of producing big deposits. We're looking to rebuild that discovery pipeline, and that means redeveloping and reviving greenfield tools that have all but disappeared over the last 30 years. Above me is that same mineralized horizon from the first slide. On it is a drill rig that we've designed and built. It weighs just 150 pounds. With this, we intercepted grades of up to 4% copper within 10 meters of surface on that sulfide unit. And this is what a lot of what we're doing looks like, rebuilding greenfields tools to utilize that brownfields expertise. So come talk to us. Because the key fundamental truth is that if we want to find big deposits, we have to look where no one has. And that's where you'll find Viridian. Thank you.